Welcome to the Seven Crosses series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. We're picking up on the 12th of April 2035. In the last part, we put in our metro lines, and in this part, what I want to do is talk a little bit about some of the issues and problems that I've encountered, and more importantly, we're going to see if we can get the tourists down from the airport here down to the hotels. Before that, what I want to do is talk about a couple of things. The first thing is I've had a comment about performance, and I am starting to encounter some performance issues. Now, for anyone who hasn't read the description on my channel, I've got an optimized gaming PC with 32 gig of RAM and also a NVIDIA 1080 Ti with 11 gig GPU. So I've got a pretty powerful machine and it's fully optimized, but even with this machine I am starting to feel a little bit of a performance issue. And what I do is that before starting to recording this series, I always restart the machine and then I come in and then I make sure I've got no other applications running whatsoever in the background, where normally I would have various bits and pieces running, monitoring stuff and other things related to my real life job. And if I kind of pan around a little bit, and maybe if I get in a bit closer, what I am starting to get is a little bit of stutter on the pan. Also, if I come in very close, mind you, we are only playing at normal speed. Normal speed isn't too bad. If I go up to fast speed, I mean, it's probably a bit too early in the process at the moment. But what I start to see is the residents walking around and the trucks starting to judder a little bit as they go around. The movement isn't quite as smooth as it should be. Now, another thing that does start to show up is if I move across like this, sometimes I get a pause as I move across the map, especially when I'm moving back into a very high density area here. But at the moment, as you can see, the performance is pretty good. I'm just going to drop down to slow again. Probably the biggest factor is that if I play for a long time, this is normally when I'm playing off camera, like I've been doing, testing some of the setups of the different routes in this area here, I start to get kind of odd things happen, which is probably due to the sheer length of time, and there's some minor memory leak or something that's slowly degrading the performance of the machine. But overall, my performance is not too bad as long as I'm careful. One thing I have had is a couple of odd crashes, but I'm putting them down more to possibly things within the new update, and they're very rare. Often they've occurred when I've kind of done something and then I try to delete and change something and then the game actually crashes. So that's the first thing out of the way. The second thing is I just want to give you a bit of an update of how things are going. Generally I've fixed most of the problems, but what I do have is a little bit of a problem down here now. Not here, sorry. Because if you watch the previous video, I told you that I put in an extra factory here. I just got a little stutter there. When I moved the cursor across, it kind of lingered over here for a fraction of a second. That's the type of performance issue that I have been getting. I put this factory in and it's going quite well, but what you see is for the first time for a very long time, I'm now actually losing storage in here. And if I come round and show you my farms in this area, which are the main suppliers, for the first time, these are actually emptying out. We're only on the 18th of April, but what I have got, if I can find them, kind of wary about doing this, because this is when I normally get the performance issues. I've got my two farms up here. Now, these farms have been very inefficient so far because they've been always 3/4 full at the beginning of every harvest cycle. I've had quite a lot of losses from these fields, but you can see now that the food production area is now pulling down more from this area. And of course, one of the problems is these farms also supply crops to here, where I've got my new clothes industry working. And so we've got two silos here. The clove industry, it got off to a shaky start, but it's actually starting to produce some clothes. And what I've done is I've put the clothes industry on to this area here and the one up to here. So at the moment it's only supplying this area because at the moment the supply route through here is a little bit inconsistent. Now the biggest problem I've got is related to the new tram network, and so I want to fix this ASAP. You can see I've got very low levels of workers in this area, and it's now starting to affect my meat production. And I've actually put in a second bus route that's bringing over workers from here, and the reason for that is to do with this metro station here. Before I get into talking about the detail, I want to give you guys a very key top tip. That is, name every key metro station and tram stop, because when you're going below and above ground like this, trying to keep track of what station you're actually on is an absolute nightmare. Now the problem is, if I come in here and click on here, oh, there's nobody here because the metro is just leaving with all the workers. So what's actually happening is that this metro station is sucking all the workers out of here and coming up to here. And originally I had the prison here, which was actually causing a problem. But you can see we've got 32 workers on the metro and there's no jobs there. And what was happening is that this prison was sucking all the workers away. So what I'm going to do, and this is where I think when you're working out what you want to do, this is something you've got. So what I'm going to do is turn these off, and we come into here, and this is where we want cathedral, and of course this has got two. This is the one I want. Oops, I don't want that. And what we're going to do is we're going to stop picking up. We can unload workers here, but we can't load workers. Ah, nope, we cancel. Yeah, something else I keep forgetting to do. And so what that should mean is that we're going to stop sending workers from the metro station, and what we'll do is get more workers back into this small bus platforms, which will then send the workers out to here. I mean, eventually, if I want to carry on with this series, I'll probably put more accommodation here, get more workers. But at the moment, I'm just trying to get my head around the main network. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, if you watch the previous video, you realize that I had a bit of a concern about this end connection here, because there wasn't many workers coming up in this direction. And if I click here, well, I've got no workers here, but part of the problem I've got now is the fact I've got no gap in the trains. So I've kind of come up with a solution to this. But what I have done now is I am getting more workers into here, and some of them are coming up here. Now, my next statement comes with a very strong caveat. I've got no inside information about how the game calculates where workers want to go, and this is purely observational. But what I found is when I removed the end terminal here, I started getting a lot more workers coming through here. In fact, we got workers. Let me just run the game through and I'll see if I can demonstrate it, if I can find a train. But of course, the spacing is here comes the train now. You can see it's got here. It have a stop at this station. It's not picked up any workers. But what you'll see is now what should happen. This is where the game messes me up. And you can see what we picked up here is about 85 workers, which is a lot more than what we had before. And if we follow this train through, because the pattern's very interesting, I must admit, I've actually discovered an electronic train set. And what we got is we dropped off workers, but we didn't drop off many workers because these are small buildings. And I think it was this small building that was drawing the few workers out here. And I think what probably happens, again, this is pure supposition, that when the game, say a worker arrives here and they're actually working, I don't know if it can actually, it doesn't actually, let's just see if I can illustrate this. Waiting on platform travelling time, it doesn't actually tell you where they're going until they get on the train. And I think Because what seems to happen is if we come to here and open up this one, you can see it says next stop Sabine heating. So if we leave this here, but if we go through and check here, so they're all going to the heating stop. At the moment it says next stop, so basically it's not saying so much where they're actually going, it's where the next stop is. And I think what the algorithm must do is it calculates the journey distance, and because I had an end station here that was set to 75 seconds, I think that must be added to the calculation. But if we come into here, so he's actually gone through here, obviously there was plenty of vacancies at the what's happened to is it this one? Yeah, we've got 15 workers on here now, and they're coming up here. So you've got all the trains are kind of blocking up. See, so the train in front filled up. So if we now click on these, it says next stop airport. So it's almost like they're working their way round the route. And probably a better way to explain that, this is something that's going to have to be a very careful consideration when you're dealing with the high volumes of a metro line, is placing your industry so that if you've got an industry that's in an awkward position, it may not get any workers because they'll all be jumping off on here. But if I can find another train here, get you here. So we got let me just start following this train. You see this train has got 85 workers on it, because I think using metros and trams, you're moving away from this point-to-point mechanic that we've all been very familiar with. You see we dropped off most of the workers here, but we've got 12 workers left, and the only reason for that is that if I come to here, you'll see that I've actually kept the workforce smaller. I did increase the workforce up, and what happens is that virtually everybody got off of that station and nobody got through to the airport. But what we are now getting is workers coming into here, and they're all jumping off here, and they're now keeping the control tower filled. Got a temperature problem up here as well, but they're working. So now we come into a solution which I want to try out. What I've done here is I've actually put the metro connection up here, and because it's some distance away from where the workers are being picked up, I'm hoping that this means that we'll still get a flow of workers through this area, but that is to be seen to be believed. Now this line is going that way, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add in the end station, and this is the reason why, top tip, you need to put in the name of the stations, otherwise you're going to need to go underground. So that comes in there, and I've got to remember to save something I keep on doing. And what I'm hoping is that if I put in this, it will start to space the trains out again. We need a train coming the other way. I found it easier just to, so you can see they're all blocked up because there's no end station. Right, and again they're all blocked up here. Now this time we've actually got to put the end station. No, don't do this. We want it this way round. We've got to put it after the area here. And we're going to add you there. And what I'd like actually to do is just increase this to. I'm going to put a fixed time in. I mean, I'm not recommending fixed time. This is just purely me experimenting. I need to do more work with the timings, but the first thing I need to do was actually kind of get this issue up and running. Actually, sorry, keep that up, and we'll just see whether just let the trains run. We've got the train coming in here. Now this first train should go through. Now, actually, nope. It's definitely, I think it's because he was already in that section coming through from there. I think they got to be, if they're past that station, then they just don't know about this one. And when you change it, one tip I will give you guys, and I say this is my Mark II version, signals don't work on metro lines. Originally I just put in my traditional kind of T junction here, game run, and it just became a mess. So what you've got to do is have this kind of mechanism like happening like this is. So you can see the trains are now coming in, and hopefully what I'm going to do is get a 60-second interval in. I might need to increase it. Now some of you may think, well, maybe that's a bit too big, but the problem is loading times. And if I can find my, got lost on the map. I'm getting lost on the map quite regularly, especially finding these. Of course, we've got no trains here, but you've got lots of people here. I'm just going to wait for a train to come in. If I come in here, he shouldn't wait in there because there's a big gap, but this is the, so he's going to come in here, and he's going to completely unload. He's brought, why has he got loads of workers on? See, he's picking up the workers to go through the station now. That doesn't make sense. I think this is just devastated my entire thing. But what you will see is that this when you've got a really big busy station, you can see how long it takes that tram to not tram, sorry, metro load up. And that's what I was saying. So the next one comes in, this one's empty. Let's see if he's actually loading. So he's still got 5 workers on, so he's offloading the workers. That's what he should have done. So I'm pretty sure that station says don't load anybody when they're going out. And then what will happen is, if we come back here, if you just watch now, you can see how long, especially because of the fact that this metro can carry 525 people. You can see how long the actual metro is at the station. He is actually leaving with a full load of 521 people. And if we actually follow that train, oops. So if we just follow him along over this way, and of course the trains coming up behind are always catching up. We now come into here, and what you will see, I've actually got this. I'm not happy with this because I think this isn't particularly that efficient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off. Oops, sorry. Because what happens is the train completely unloads and then reloads again, and I don't think that is particularly efficient. Keep on forgetting to do this. Yeah, I think forcing everyone off the train and back on again is not particularly that good. But you can see all those a lot of those students and passengers all got off and are now travelling down here. And of course we've got 195 workers. We picked up a couple more workers, and they're now going down to here. But we've got a few spare slots for engineers and all that. But I think what's happening is a lot of them will come and want to work in our hotels. Although some guests are unable to get, we've got all sorts of problems. So hopefully that all makes sense. As I say, I'm not claiming to be an expert on this. This is my observations based on about 4 or 5 hours just playing with my new electronic train set here. Now, the next thing I want to do is we're going to try and get tourists from here. We've got no blueprint. All right, what we're going to do is I've got piles of money. Let's just set up a blueprint here. Hunt that. Oh no, it's a bit. Wow. This is going to be painful. We've got 625 miles. This is 810. This is 780. This is going to be very painful. So we're just going to get our aircraft building. Then we've got it there, but of course what we're going to need to do is buy an aircraft now. This is one of the reasons why I've been accumulating vast sums of 56 million. I think we'll get a Yak 42. I think we're going to need the rubles to replace what we've actually just spent. So beyond the borders, you're just going to load tourists. I don't think if you leave it without on the other option, it won't make any difference, because I don't think you get people just coming in for the leisure process. Right, now the first thing I need to do to set this route up is, if we come into here, I must admit this is an option that I've never really paid that much attention to, but I think if you're going to run metros and trams, this is going to become a lot more important, because what you need to do is set up individual routes for where you want people to go. So what I'm going to do is click here, and click there. And what this will do is basically tell tourists to go to here when they arrive. Now, the next bit, now I'm going to emphasize this is purely hypothetical. And it all could go very badly wrong, because down here, I need to make sure we get the right one. What I need now is, actually I need to check the route here. We got citizens loyalty is low. That's good, jolly old electronics. Let me just let the game run. And it comes a tram in. Metro, sorry. What is this place called? This is certainly not called an unfinished fence. It's called Pedence Circle. Just want to check that. Nope. Got work on the routes. I should have a big sticker on the bottom of my PC monitor saying work on the routes. Yeah. In Pedence Circle, the tourists can get off. Now, I've tried using 4 citizens and it just doesn't work, but what I'm hoping is that, because what I want to do is get the tourists to go here, which is the tram tour. And the idea is they will come into here, get onto here, then go down to here and through to this stop here. That's the theory anyway. While the tourists are coming in, I don't know if I can show you anything else that's going on. As I say, I've already mentioned this here. Let's check this citizens' happiness. I'm getting back to these, and it's probably electronics, 199 citizens with electronics. Electronics is becoming an absolute nightmare. Especially with the fact we've now got a population of 112,000. Let's see. I know I'm probably being a bit pedantic, but I feel that electronics is a little bit powerful with respect to happiness. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have it, but I just feel that it seems a bit OP that you just lose a little bit of electronics and you just get these constant messages. The only other thing I would say is maybe, because if I can find it, yeah, we've got power problems as well. Yes, I know. But if we go back to here, yes, we've got a little bit of problems with meat and food, the odd one citizen, but just because we got electronics, we shouldn't have a 45% happiness. That just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, loyalty is falling a bit as well in this area. But then I have been kind of half neglecting my economy. Obviously, we've got no tourists came in from. Okay. We don't have a problem. I'm kind of very tempted to bring one in from I think we're going to try and push this a little bit. I know I'm spending large sums of money, but 120. Okay, we're going to... And what we're going to do is see if Western tourists want to come here. And then unload tourists. Don't unload, we're not taking anybody out. Just see if we can jazz people up. And what I'm going to do now, guys, is stop talking until one of these planes comes in with some tourists on, because that's the bit I really do want to talk about. So I'll see you once we get some tourists actually coming into this terminal here. Okay, welcome back. We've got our first tourists. They're coming in and they're going to the airport terminal. So we're just going to zoom in close and we'll see. The first step is they should go automatically to this overhead station because I've told them to do that. I thought I told them. Oh yeah, you've got another tip here, guys. Be aware that this doesn't list all the connections. What it does is it can confuse yourself. It confused me a bit. We've now got our tourists there. We've got our individual tourists here. We're just going to wait now for a train to come in. And of course the pickup point is that way because that's the shortest distance. This train coming in, pick up tourists. We don't need... Right, we've now got the tourists on board. So we're now travelling down this line. And we've got still got 20 tourists on. I think it was 20 tourists that arrived. Now the key factor here is travel time. But because we're breaking this up into short trips, we shouldn't get the 12-hour travel time. Because if the tourist spends more than 12 hours travelling, then they disappear. And they're happy. They've actually got some loyalty. Right, F3 and go underground. What I'm going to do is just jump forward a bit. They shouldn't stop there. And this is, oops. I want that station there. Go above ground. So we're going to pick up. Sorry, I'm filling up the screen with things. Okay, the locomotive. Right, tourists have got off. And there are now, all 20 of them are in there. And he's waiting on platform tram tour. And what we're waiting for is a tram to arrive. Obviously I've got, oh, here comes the tram. What I'm going to do is slow the game down a bit now. Getting a little bit of stutter on the cursor again, sorry. Now he didn't actually pick up the... What happened there? Right, we may have a problem here with the pickup on this route. What was this one called? Tram tour. Nope, route again, sorry. This one shouldn't be loading tourists going that way. Right, fix that. Right, we need some more tourists coming in. Oops, somehow I've got F2 on. Okay, back to over here. We got... Because I've lost the tourist now. We've got another flight coming in. This one's got 45 tourists on, coming in from the Soviet Union. So we're just going to follow them through again. They're all going to get into here. Are they going to get on this train, or have they missed it? They've missed it. So we're going to have to wait for the next train to come down. They are on the station, aren't they? Directionality is important. So like that train's come in, but this one on this way, they've got no option to pick up tourists. I want the tourists going this way. So we're just going to redo this. So we got a train coming in. Just put them there. He's picked up the 45 tourists. And away we go again. Right, what I'll do is I'll see you once we get back to the main station again. So here we are. The train is just about to arrive, and what I've done is I've got the tram station set up here, and I've selected Gertrude. This is here. We got here is we've now lost all the tourists. You see the tourists are now appearing at the tram station, and she says she's now on the platform here. Pause again, sorry. And this is the tram coming in this side. What you should do now is, what you can see is the tram has now got 35 people on. This one here. So we're just going to follow you. It's got no tourists. Where's the tourists then? Where are you? We've now got tourists sat in this tram station, but they got on the other train. For some reason the tourists are sat here and they don't want to get on this tram line. Don't understand this. Why is this one going this way? I told you not to load tourists. You can unload tourists, but you can't load tourists. Let me just check this route. You can load, but not unload. Okay. Right, we've got a whole raft of tourists all coming in. Now they're getting on. Oh, this is going to be fun. So we've now got tourists going this way, and this is a good example of why you need to plan your routes and think about who's going to go where when you're actually planning the network. It's also quite interesting that we just got a whole load of tourists. We've still got 51 tourists on. Now they're going to go through, that's the Hotel Continental. And I just want to make sure that they get off the other end. And we've finally got tourists into here. And we are, well, we're certainly making some money from tourism, if nothing else. Right, guys. Hopefully, that's an example of a performance issue. Occasionally, if I try and move too quickly, the game does flip down to that very low level and then starts to stick a little bit. I don't think I can think of anything else to show you, but I just want to run through that. If you're going to be using an integrated transport system, you do need to think very carefully about your layout of your city and moving people around and where jobs are. And if you're going to run out to industries, you do need to consider this issue of the fact that they will always drop off to, so say for example, if I bump this up to 370, what would probably happen is that all the workers would go into here, and then we wouldn't get workers coming across to here if we didn't have a back loop. This is something you need to consider. Also, if you're kind of messing about like I'm doing here, because we've got students coming to the university here, which is full. or not full. No, it's not full. We've still got a lot of students studying, but we got our shopping mall. This is the single shopping mall that's feeding everybody in the city at the moment. There's no other shopping malls out here, and of course, remember that there's certain buildings that they won't travel for, and I'm starting to suspect that sport is a potential issue as well. They seem to travel for sport, but at the same time, it's maybe something that you might not want to force them to do it there. Although it's quite a lot. I mean, it's just the odd people, which is not particularly that thing there. But you can see by getting them to travel, you will get food shortages, because as far as I know, we've got plenty of food in here. We've even got electronics in here as well. Wow. And also the size of the station. But you can see here now I've got the metro running. I think this is another key point, that if you're going to run a very big city like this, trams and buses won't work. You are seriously looking at a metro. I don't know, we've got a town hall here. I don't know. At the moment, this has only got a population of 6,362, with pretty good happiness, some alcohol, because we got I put a little pub in here. It's like that, but we're obviously not getting many people coming into it. I also put a few attractions here. So like we've got an old restaurant bar here, which is probably a bit more popular than the other one. We've got here, I don't know if these are tourists or just ordinary people. I think these are just ordinary people. Yeah, they live in the M18 and M13. Now M13 is actually over here, I think. Because I had some fun with this. I remember the numbers. So M13. So you've got someone who's come all the way over to here to do a bit of leisure. We've got a gallery of art here. M8, we've got some of them M8 and M7. M8 and M7 are in here. Now this whole area hasn't been fully populated yet, because I didn't want to ramp it up too much. They will travel for culture. I suppose I could put a sports ground in here and see whether they'd actually travel for sport. Overall, I think it is possible to build an integrated public transport network, but you're going to need to think very carefully about where you put things. I know I'm repeating myself, but I think it's very important to repeat myself, because I mean, I thought I'd worked out the network completely based on the release notes, and as you've already noticed, that I've had a few problems, and I think increasingly, I mean, I haven't really set the tram network up, but this selecting the different types where you've got ordinary passengers, students, tourists and workers, directing them at specific interchanges is going to be quite important. In fact, I think just to finish off, the ground has got very complicated, and trying to see what is going on where is pretty thing. I think if I click on here, I did try pushing workers across 2 stations, and it kind of half worked, but I think in a place like this it may not work. But if it was similar to the tourists, if it was, say, like well, let's just run a scenario. Say for example, rather than run the bus line all the way out from here, if there was a tram station in close proximity, a tram station or a metro station, say like this metro station here, you could push them onto the bus stop. But if there's other industries there, then that would affect these other industries, like the fire station. But if you knew you were going to build a big industrial complex that may need to have a point-to-point delivery using buses, but you wanted to get lots of workers in there from a tram system, what you could do is bring them all out to here, put them onto say a bus stop or a tram stop, and then use that as a pickup point to distribute the workers across a large area. But it's going to be very complicated, and doing it in realistic mode is going to be very great fun. You can see straight away now that we've now got our workforce back. and our meat problem's gone away. Let's have a look here. And our clothing industry is now up and running. So I think if you get it right, things are pretty good. And of course, if I want to really ramp this city up, we could get all the full workers, because I think this is the real benefit of Metro. Carrying 500 workers out to one of these areas here. I know it's all a bit lame at the moment, but we could probably increase that to get a few more workers out here. So we'll get a bit more production in this area, which will then push through into this area. Maybe we'll just add oops, that's a bit too many. 30 workers there, and we can get a few more workers into there. The question is the spacing. We're getting no workers coming through this way, because what's happening is that all the workers are being sucked up by this area after coming through here, because we've got 80 people now producing an aircraft for us. So I think this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. If any of you got any of your own personal observations to share, feel free to chuck it in the comments, because as I say, I've only done about 4 or 5 hours testing on this network, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more issues and wrinkles and ways to make this run a lot better. But until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.